Hello and welcome back to Twixt Tarot, my little wee corner of the internet. My name is Gwen, or you can call me Twixt. I will answer to either. I'm back with another deck flip through for you. This time it is a birthday present I got last month from a dear friend of mine over in the US, a bestie. And thank you so much for sending me this deck. Okay, so the Botan Tarot. Is one that I don't see come up much for sale secondhand. I think this is a deck that once people get it, they don't usually let it go because it is just beautiful and gentle, and yeah, you'll get to see it as soon as I start flipping through it. I want to say that I did purchase the artist's zine, which is a digital download, because I always like to know, the background of the deck and artistic references that the artist or the creator may have drawn from. And the little white book in this deck really just cuts straight to the point, and you basically get a couple keywords and the artwork. So you don't really get any background from this little white book, which, if you want to include full color photos of all of the cards, that is obviously what the artist wanted to do here. And the zine, I believe, was in paper format, but it's currently out of print. So there is this digital download you can get from their website. So again, this is the Botan Tarot. This is the second edition that was released in 2023, I believe. And the digital zine I have was written to go with this second edition. So I will just go into a bit of the background notice of the background of the deck. I was scrolling past a section called the artist notice. So I'll quickly read this. It says, in 2017, I was at a crossroads with my art career and asked a friend to do a tarot reading for me. I had never done one before, and I was stunned at the card's power to help me look inwardly and sort through my fears and anxieties. Months later, I turned back to tarot, this time painting the cards that brought sense and peace whenever it felt like the world was out of sorts. The project became a way for me to unplug from the news feed, find healing, and send that healing back out. In 2020, I launched the completed 78 card deck, with illustrations that pay tribute to my Japanese American heritage, Art Nouveau, and the traditional folk stories I grew up with. This completed deck is named the Botan Tarot. From 2021 to 2023, I updated a few cards, as well as the box design. The meanings of the art were the same, but as I had grown as an artist, I felt more confident in expressing what I wanted to say. Botan in Japanese means peony, which is the flower prominently featured on the back design of the tarot deck, as well as on several cards. In Japanese flower language, peonies represent bravery. Botan is also a play on the word botanical, as I use Japanese flower language and other plant imagery throughout the deck. Lastly, Botan is a tribute to the space and memory in which I painted this deck. There is an old-fashioned Japanese candy called Botan rice candy, which I remember my grandmother giving me as a child. The deck was painted entirely in the dining room of my grandmother's home, and the minor arcana specifically draws inspiration from the Japanese children's stories that she used to read to me. This anthology includes the short stories I've written and offers additional insight into my artistic imagery. It can be appreciated on its own or as a companion piece to the Botan Tarot. And then from there, the zine, I teared up a little bit reading the part about the deck being completely painted in her grandmother's dining room, which I think is so special. So obviously there's a lot of love that's gone into this deck and a lot of generational influence and love, which I think is so special. So Yeah. The zine then goes into the major arcana, and unlike the little white book, with the zine, you actually get a couple paragraphs for each card, which is really cool. So I'll just read the Fool to give you a little bit of a contrast. So in the little white book, the Fool says, upright, new beginnings, free spirit, new cycle, spontaneity, and innocence. And reversed, we've got recklessness, foolishness, and naivety, or naivete. And in the zine for the Fool, it says beginnings, free spirit, innocence, naivety, foolishness. You have unlimited potential and new adventures waiting for you. Go forth in wonder and curiosity. The Fool is always depicted with a dog who will push him to learn life's lessons while also protecting him. The hound is alert and ready, so the young man can daydream. A crown of white roses represents his purity, and we see that in the artwork here. So you get a lot more with this zine. So I would highly recommend, if you are purchasing this deck, the guidebook is lovely, but if you want to go a little more in depth with what the artist wants to convey, as far as interpretations go, or some of the art references, definitely pick up this zine. It's only $5 from their website, so I'll include the link in the description. And on that note, I think I should start flipping through the cards. I'm just quickly flipping through the pages here to see if there's anything else I should include from the zine. Actually, I might just tell you a little bit about the minors really quickly and how they came about, because I thought that part of the zine was really interesting, and I don't think that is giving away too much, and it leaves you with some juicy tidbits still to discover when you purchase it. So in the minor arcana section, there's a little note that says, when I began painting the major arcana, I had no intention of doing the minor arcana as well. It took me several months just to paint 22 cards, and the project had left me creatively fatigued. The thought of painting another 56 cards felt too daunting. Of course, the universe had other plans. At the beginning of 2019, I stumbled upon a book that my grandmother used to read to me titled Japanese Children's Favorite Stories, beautifully illustrated in vibrant watercolors. I always admired the illustration that came with the tail of the tongue-cut sparrow, and so felt inspired to sketch a young woman with the sparrow mask. She became the Page of Swords, and the first of my minor arcana project. I wanted to incorporate the Four Noble Ones, a set of plants popular in Chinese and Japanese painting, to coincide with the elemental symbols of each suit. These served as compass points as I plotted out the pages, knights, queens, and kings in a grid. The sparrow as the Page of Swords, with the sparrow as the Page of Swords, I knew I wanted all of the swords to be birds to honor the air element of the suit. Pheasant became the Knight of Swords, and I filled the remaining knight roles with the other warriors of the Momotaro legend. From there, the suits began to take shape. I was very intentional about which characters I assigned to each role, taking special care with regards to elements in Japanese folklore. While these characters are inspired by Japanese folklore, the short stories included for my cards are entirely my own work, acting as continuations of their tales beyond the book of my childhood. It's important to note that since I painted the court cards of each suit first, they will appear first in this anthology. Reading these first will provide a narrative to clarify the imagery anecdotes for the aces through tens of each suit. So then we have a brief list of minor arcana themes. And if you look in the guidebook, she does not put the quartz first like she does in the zine. And I'm just looking here to see if we get this table that I was about to read. No, we don't get the table either, so I'm just going to read this table really quickly. So she's included a table or a list of themes, and for the suit of swords or air, she's got mind or intellect, chrysanthemum, dark purple and yellow. So obviously the area, it covers one of the four noble plants and then the color themes. For suit of wands or fire, we have spirit or energy. Bamboo is the plant, and the colors are orange, red, and green. And the suit of coins, earth, body or material. Orchid as the plant, and fuchsia and bright green as the colors. And the suit of cups is water, heart or emotion. The plant is the plum blossom, and the colors are indigo and deep red. That's really cool. I love the story on, where she drew inspiration from for her elemental suits, and she calls each suit by the plant name. So the swords is the chrysanthemum kingdom. So I'm assuming the others would be the bamboo kingdom, the orchid kingdom, and the plum blossom kingdom, which is really cool. So anyway, now we will hop into the cards. Sorry, I just find the background of this stuff so interesting. And thank you so much for listening to me blabber on. You can come back to your screen now. I should probably put a little disclaimer at the beginning of this video. Anyway, the box is a gorgeous cardboard box with indigo wash all around it. Darker indigo color inside, and we get the minor suit symbols or tools inside each box side, which is really cool. And there you go. Okay, so again, little white book, very simple guide as it does tell us, and the lovely chrysanthemum line art on the front, full color photos, and some keywords for upright and reverse orientation. And now we will get down to the good stuff. Now let me just, flip her over. Well, maybe I'll talk about this first. So the deck is edged in this gorgeous indigo matte edging, which I love. I love the cardstock of this deck. It is printed on, doesn't actually say. I would assume 350 GSM. It might be thicker than that, actually. But it's a linen finish, and it comes... I'm just reading the website here. Cards are linen finished with a unique matte Japanese indigo edge. Comes with the full color guide booklet. And in this second edition, artwork for 7 of the cards and titles for 2 of the cards have been updated. And the box was updated as well. I wonder what the first edition looked like. I have never watched a walkthrough of the first edition, so I'm not sure. She does say, please note 2 of the cards have mild nudity, so please use your best judgment as to the age appropriateness of this deck. So that is your also clue to judge the age appropriateness of this walkthrough based on there being 2 cards with minor nudity. Okay, I am just taking that light down a little bit so there's not as much of a glare. Okay, I think that looks good. So at this stage, I am just going to flip through this deck and probably mute my mic so you don't hear me breathing heavily into it. All right, muting now. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to mute because I love this artwork so much. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and start again because I have comments. All right. So the foal here is just very young and full of hope, looks like. And I love his dog. Reminds me a lot of my dog. I've got a Thai Ridgeback. She has a thicker tail than that, but body structure is definitely similar. And she does keep me grounded. The magician here is beautiful. Very smoky. Gotta love all of the tattoos with each suit there, so I can see the coin and the cup and the sword and the wand, and then I can see a few more symbols here. So we've got the Ouroboros, we've got the lemniscate as well, which is really cool, and then maybe possibly more botanical representations, obviously. Oh, I see. So we've got roses and lilies, like the Rider-Waite-Smith. Cool way of interpreting that. So the High Priestess, similarly, her tattoos have themes from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. She's got a gorgeous headpiece on. Pomegranate. I see the moon, and her choker has the number 2. Really cool. The Empress. I love the color of her robe so much. That is one of my most favorite shades of purple. And again, I can see a pomegranate pattern across that robe. So pretty. The Emperor, we've got a big bird of prey here. He also has some tattoos on his hand. Looks like maybe a chrysanthemum. The Teacher. I remember I did read in the zine that the artist really struggled with the concept of this card having a religious tone to it, and it took them a few goes in order to find a title they were happy with. So we've got ginkgo leaves, which kind of, is a stand-in for that traditional piece of long-standing tradition, because ginkgo trees are like living fossils. The Lover's card is beautiful. Very much reminds me of the Klimt. I think I said the right painting. But I love the color. This is a beautiful card too. I love how they're touching hands. Gorgeous hermit card. I wish I was this talented. I love the use of color here in the wheel. That's a very cool hanged one. I think this looks like a very similar face to the Hermit, but the hair's different. The skirt on this dress reminds me of like a fantail. A fantail fish, koi fish, or a betta fish. Or a veil tail even. Very cool devil. The tower looks really peaceful, so that's interesting. You know, no flames, but it does look a bit old and like possibly worn down from being out in the elements for so long, maybe. But I would have expected more chaos here, so interesting. But I guess the whole deck does feel very gentle, though. The star, that is just beautiful. Again, that color purple in the sky is so pretty. I love that on these cards we're getting a sense of really bigger energies at play as well, you know, based on the scale of the pictures. Some of the other majors are very close up, so we don't really get that sense of scale. Wow, that's beautiful. She is so talented at like giving each figure a different feel. Beautiful. All right, now that we're at the minors, I am just going to flip through a little more quickly, just so we can be sure this stays at 30 minutes or less. Apologies if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. She's being the goodest girl and taking a nap in her little doggy bed. can really feel the color shifts through each suit as we get to a new noble plant. That's a really cool one. Crafty. I love that. Moving into the orchids now. I love the rabbits too. Apologies if you can hear my husband violently sneezing in the background. I think this might be my favorite minor card. It's just so cute. And I don't know, there's just not as much chaos going on in this photo as there in this card as there is in other Ten of Pentacles. Looks like she's scrying there almost. I have to pick these up. Well, this is going to be over 30 minutes again. Oops. Moving into the cups, which was the plum blossom, I believe. Can definitely feel the water in this one. That's a really interesting representation. I can't wait to read the zine on that. And you can see the one that's been repaired by gold too, which is neat. And that's the last card. What a beautiful deck. I'm so glad it's in my collection. And I can't wait to really start using it. I might save this one for Pisces season, just because it feels like a very Pisces deck to me. I can't exactly explain why, but I'll leave it, and up to being a mysterious Pisces myself. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. Again, that's the Botan Tarot by A. Miyako M. And that is still available on their website, and I will link to that in the description. Okay, hope you have a great day.